Welcome to Take It From Tara. Today we're going to call it Take It From Tanya. I'm Tanya Ablin from In Focus Magazine, and I'm sitting in for the irreplaceable Tara Bassett. I'm going to do my best. Most of you know she's traveling home from her 2-week journey to Ireland with her family. We were lucky enough to hear her broadcast live from there last week. It was a fantastic segment. It is August 19th, and this edition of Take It From Tara is sponsored by the Magnuson Effort to Combat Human Trafficking and Meridian Acupuncture. James Sain is our musical guest, here for his last appearance before hitting it big time in Nashville. Dr. Chris Ablin is an orthopedic surgeon here to educate us on how to prevent those dreaded sports injuries. Summer Auerbach from Rainbow Blossom talks about her wonderful local family-owned store and all it has to offer in the way of great natural foods and remedies. Josh Miller, also from In Focus Louisville Magazine, and one of my social sidekicks, is here to talk about some of the exciting things coming up in our city. Jacqueline Heinzen from No Kill Louisville is on hand to discuss the goals of her organization and in making Louisville a truly cutting-edge city regarding our animals. James Sain, as I said, is here this musical hour. And James, you're headed for the bright lights of Nashville. Tara wanted me to tell you best of luck, and she's so proud of you. Well, let's hear it from James. Oh, yeah, you must be so excited. You said you move next week, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, take it away. Lead us into the show, James.
It's Pink Moon by Nick Drake.
Awesome.
I saw him written in a side chair. Pink moon is on its way. How do you stand so tall? Pink moon gonna get you home. It's a pink moon, yes, pink moon. Pink, 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 pink. Saw him written in a side chair. The moon is on its way. How do you stand so tall? Pink moon gonna get you home. It's a pink moon, yeah, pink moon.
Wonderful. That was James Sain. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tara says you're one of the most talented musicians she's had on the show, and I can certainly see why. Thank you again for that. So I'm here with Jacqueline Heinzen, who is from No Kill Louisville. She's the events and volunteer director, working hard to create a community where no adoptable pet is killed. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the first thing I said when she sat down is, so are you with No Kill Louisville full time? And she said, no, none of us are. We're all a volunteer staff. So just tell me a little bit about your past with No Kill Louisville and how that works.
Well, I started volunteering with No Kill Louisville probably around December. And as I kept going to more and more events, volunteering, I got to know the previous interim president, Eli, who was really ready to give me more responsibility. As I was like, yeah, I'd love to get more involved. And he was like, great, here.
Always looking for people like you.
Responsibility, yeah. So in May, I was voted on to the board of directors to be the events coordinator.
Well, congratulations on that, and thank you for all you do. The word No Kill Louisville, or the term, I guess, sounds pretty self-explanatory, but there's still some confusion amongst the community of what exactly No Kill Louisville does. So can you shed some light on that?
Sure. We are an animal rights advocacy and rescue advocacy. We are not a shelter. A lot of people think that we are a physical shelter, and we are. We do have a foster adoption program where we place animals, we pull them from shelters and put them in homes, so that takes the burden off of some shelters. But we are not a shelter. We do have a pet food bank. A lot of people don't know about that. It's gives free food to low-income individuals and families. So because that's the number one reason why people have to give up their pets to the shelters, it's because they can't afford them. So we give out free food to them and sell them to rescues for really cheap, like 6 cents a pound, 9 cents a pound.
Wow. So how does someone in need access that program?
Well, we have an application, and they just need to provide some proof of income to our standard is 200% of the poverty level, which comes out to be about $22,000, something like that for an individual. So they just fill out the application and provide proof that their animals are spayed and neutered, and they can just come and we'll give them a supply of food.
Excellent. Tell us about Willie.
Willie is a foster dog that I am fostering personally. He is a miniature poodle Bichon mix. He's white.
That sounds adorable. I wish he was here with you today.
Yeah, he is so cute. And he's a total Velcro dog, just wants to be in my lap perpetually. He never wants to leave. He's really easy. He doesn't need to go like on like a ton of walks. He's really low energy. I mean, he's happy to bound around in the backyard, but really he just wants to lay around with you like all the time.
Are you going to be able to part with him when the time comes?
Yes. As much as like I'm a busy person, he's very like needy affection wise. He would go to a home best alone because he did come from like a kind of abusive background. So he gets scared really easily. So it would be best if he went to a home without kids. Kids are great. Dogs are great for kids. But there are some dogs that, kids are really in their face, and it's best for Willie to go to a home without kids.
I see. Well, that sounds like an enticing opportunity for a potential pet owner. Mm-hmm. How would someone go to see what Willie looks like, meet him in person? What would be an opportunity to do that?
They can contact adopt@nokilllouisville.com. and just say, hey, I'd like to meet Willie. I'd like to, they put in an application, and if that's approved, then we have like a little meet and greet, or they can come see Willie at one of our adoption events. We've got tons of adoption events. So if they don't want to like fill out an application, go through that, then they can just come to one of the events that he's going to be at, or they can contact me personally at volunteers@nokilllouisville.com, and I'd be happy to set up a time.
Okay, that's wonderful. I noticed on your calendar that there were Feeder Supply adoption meet and greets that happen several times throughout the month. Maybe one coming up this Saturday as well.
Yes, I do those adoption events. I'm there every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. We just go to the Feeder Supply at Holiday Manor over there off of Brownsboro. They just they set up a table for us, and they let us go there every Saturday, which is nice of them. And I just sit around with some dogs and cats, and hopefully people come and, try to meet a dog or cat.
I hope so too. Well, something else that sounded really cool was Paws on the Patio. Mm-hmm. What is that? What is that like?
Paws on the Patio is Genghis Grill at Springhurst. It's like a Mongolian grill, like build-it-yourself Mongolian food.
Oh, yeah, I love that. And any kind of interactive food situation, I'm all about.
As long as I get to pile as much food as I want on that bowl, it's great. Well, they let us come out there the last Tuesday of every month, and every other month is a fundraiser as well. Okay. And so every other last Tuesday of the month, we go out there, and they take donations, and they give us 10% of their sales for the time that we're there. And they also let us have an adoption event out on the patio. They have a really big, spacious patio, and we set up like a kiddie pool for the dogs, and they splash around and walk around. We've got little cats in the crates at the back, so the dogs don't bother them.
Oh, that sounds like a good time for everyone.
Yeah,
cats and dogs and people alike. I noticed that people can go on to your website to view the calendar of events. Mm-hmm. To help out your mission, they could adopt, volunteer, foster, donate. Mm-hmm. How can people find out exactly where they fit in with this effort with No Kill Louisville, and how can they contact someone to become more involved?
I am the volunteer coordinator, so they can contact me.
It's you they're going to get when they make that call.
It is me. I do the second Sunday of every month, I have a volunteer orientation. And there I talk about all of the different ways they can get involved. And they can do transport, they can help out at the pet food bank, they can help me out with events. We've got all these committees that need help. I'm on the fundraising committee, and we need people that are really, looking for ways to help out, like coordinate a fundraiser with a different restaurant or something like that, or a business. There are tons of ways to get involved.
Lots of opportunity to help out with this. A worthy cause, obviously, with No Kill Louisville. How many pets have you fostered?
I have fostered personally. With No Kill Louisville, it's only been Willie. With Woodstock, I've fostered 2. One of them I ended up adopting because it's really hard to not adopt a foster animal. And before that, I fostered several others, and most of the people on the board, they've got tons of dogs. Our foster coordinator, Karen, she has 8 dogs, and she usually fosters more than that, so it's just like, whoa.
I would imagine that's a hazard of being involved. If I bring home any more cats, I'm going to get set out on the street myself. There's so many reports of missing animals these days, and of course, social media helps sort of bring that to in everyone's face. And I saw that on No Kill Louisville. There's something called Tag a Pet.
Yes.
What is that? How can people get involved in that? How can they use it to sort of help track their pet?
We have a partnership with Tag a Pet. They put QR code tags on dogs' collars so that when somebody finds a pet, I mean, they can take them to the vet and try to microchip them, but a lot of the time, like, tags that are on, like, little D-rings, they get, torn off when a dog's running around. So the QR code is directly on the collar, and somebody can scan it with their smartphone, and it immediately sends a message to the pet owner that, hey, your dog has been found. Here's where it is, and the person that scans it gets kind of like they get a little social media thing that's like, you can share it here, you can...
That's incredible. We've got to get more people using that. So it's Tag a Pet, correct?
Tag a Pet, yes. And every $10 of every purchase of that goes to a fund for No Kill Louisville, and we're going to build our own no-kill shelter out of that.
Oh, that's incredible. That's very exciting. Thank you so much to Jacqueline Heinzen for being here from No Kill Louisville. Once again, to give them the website, how they can contact and reach out to get involved.
Yeah, you can contact me at volunteers@nokill-louisville.com. If you're just looking for general information, you can contact info@nokill-louisville.com. You can go to our Facebook. We have a huge Facebook following.
Yes.
It's just No Kill Louisville. Or you can just go to the website to check out more information.
Wonderful. Thank you again,
Thank you for
Jacqueline.
having me.
I saw a familiar face just pop up earlier here. I think Tara Bassett is in the house. So now we're back to Take It From Tara. We're going to thank Meridian Acupuncture for their sponsorship of Take It From Tara. And then who knows what will happen after this? I don't know. We might get Tara back in here. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Meridian Acupuncture provides healthcare services to improve and promote the well-being of their patients and the community they serve. Meridian's vision is to educate and empower us to make healthy lifestyle choices, to understand how to heal ourselves, to prevent illness, and to recognize that health is a daily journey. Meridian's practitioners at East Asian Medicine specialize in allergies to depression, to menopause, and much more. Trying to stay healthy, coping with stress, managing serious illness. Meridian Acupuncture is a resource. 311 Wallace Avenue in St. Matthews, 290-8788, meridianlouisville.com.
Now we'll hear a little bit more from James Sain as we get our next guest in here. Thanks, James. That was awesome. And that helped us usher Miss Summer Auerbach into the studio. She is the Chief of Operations at Rainbow Blossom. Welcome, Summer.
Hello. Hi.
I see your name and hear your name all over the place. I know that actually In Focus Louisville featured your gorgeous wedding. Was that been a year ago? Or
It's going to be a year,
right?
Labor Day weekend. I can't believe it, but yeah.
It was the wedding everyone was talking about. It was super special and unique and had your stamp all over it, which is just someone who contributes to Louisville in such a unique way. And let's talk about some of those ways. I know that we were just discussing your involvement with LIBA and a big event that you guys have coming up with that.
Yeah. Well, LIBA, which is the Louisville Independent Business Alliance, is putting on our 5th annual Brew Fest, which is happening at Slugger Field. So it's Saturday, September 21st. Kicks off at 4 o'clock and goes until 10 p.m.
It's a great way to usher in the fall to an always such a well-attended event.
Yeah, we had like 6,000 to 8,000 people last year, so we're anticipating a nice size turnout this year too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it won't get smaller. It'll only get bigger in size. Well, when we think of Rainbow Blossom, I think I think of the natural food market. But I recently discovered that you have all of these special events that are offered there as well. And one I noticed was gentle yoga.
Yeah, so we are doing some gentle yoga classes. They are every Monday and Wednesday through the end of the month. And it's just a $5 per class, pay as you go. So no reservation necessary. You can just drop in. It's at our Gardner Lane store in the community room upstairs.
Wow, $5. That is an absolute bargain in the yoga world.
Yes.
What separates gentle yoga from some of the other intense practices, like the things that I'm super intimidated to attend?
Well, gentle yoga is great for beginners, but it's also good for people that just want to stretch out without really kind of getting into a more intense workout. So it's great for beginners and more advanced people, but it's just going to be a lot of stretching, opening up the muscles, and just getting in there without, you don't have to worry about doing arm balances or
okay, maybe that's where I need to start then. I might need to come to the next gentle yoga class. There's something else you have coming up this Thursday at your Middletown location, 6 to 8. Herbal Alternatives. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So Herbal Alternatives is it's very similar to the Day with the Doctor event that we have periodically. And so this is with Virginia Allen, who's actually our supplement buyer at the Middletown store, but she is going to be doing 15-minute little mini consultations specifically around herbs.
Very cool. So that is this Thursday from 6 to 8 at Middletown. Do you need a reservation to attend that?
You don't. You just show up. Yeah.
Okay. Incredible. I know for someone like me who is, I'm just going to go ahead and be completely honest, I'm a fast food junkie. I hit up the, whatever the quickest thing I can get. If I walk into Rainbow Blossom, which I love to do, and then I immediately feel like I'm in a different country a little bit just because it's outside of my comfort zone, what can I do when I walk in to just grab someone and ask for help and say, tell me what I'm looking at, tell me what I need to purchase to really change my lifestyle and get healthier?
Well, our customer service staff is really knowledgeable. We have a lot of training as soon as we hire our staff. So if you go in and kind of explain a little bit about where you are, then they can help make some recommendations, whether that's healthier eating or just things that you can take that might work with your lifestyle.
And Rainbow Blossom has been family owned for how long now in Louisville?
36 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, my parents started it in 1977.
Way ahead of any of the trends.
Yeah.
With natural and organic foods now. That's really cool. So they're a real staple of the Louisville community. I know my friend Josh Miller, who's coming up soon to talk about some of the social things, every time he starts to get sick, he always says, I've got to go to Rainbow Blossom and get a smoothie. And he's one of the healthiest people I know. So it's working for him. Definitely. Also, I noticed at your Highlands location this Sunday from 2 to 5, something I could really benefit from, the Art of Seed Saving 101.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this event. It is with a guy who's going to teach people how to save your seeds. So people garden all the time, and a lot of times they come back and just buy new seeds the next year. But if you have, a great tomato plant, then you can actually, he's going to teach people how to save those seeds so that you can actually start your own heirloom seeds that you keep for years and years and actually pass down through the generations. So that should be pretty neat. And then he's also going to talk about the differences of different types of seeds and GMO and hybrid seeds, and then just kind of explain open pollination. So I think it should be a really neat event. And that is this Sunday from 2 to 5, also at the community room at the Gardner Lane Shopping Center. So
there's so much to learn from that. I'm one of those people that just buy new every time because I'm so ignorant as to how you can use the seeds over and over. So this is perfect for someone like me.
Yeah. Now there is a fee to this one. The other two, I guess the Herbal Alternatives is free, and it's $20, and you just pay that when you get there, and there's no reservation necessary.
Well, then you're going to end up saving way more than $20 in the end with this knowledge.
Absolutely.
Now, give us one more rundown of all of your locations.
Okay. We have 5 stores. We have our St. Matthew's store, which is on Lexington Road, and that's kind of our flagship store. We moved into that location in 1999. We've always been in St. Matthew's, and we're actually getting ready to do a big remodel at that store.
How exciting.
In the next month. So
That's my neighborhood, so I can't wait.
So we're looking forward to that. And then we have our Middletown and Springhurst locations. And the Middletown store actually just moved across the street. We'd been in that location for 23 years. Moved across the street into a bigger, expanded location, and it's beautiful. So I recommend that anybody that is in that area stop by and check it out. It has a neat feel to it and a lot of local art installations and actually some pictures from my wedding.
Oh, incredible. They're
Not
beautiful.
that you would ever know, but, things like baskets of eggs and, thistle from the flower arrangements and peacock feathers. But, and then we have our Gardner Lane store, which has the community room upstairs, and that was actually the first LEED certified retail store in the state of Kentucky. So
I didn't know that.
yeah, which is
Very
a green
cool.
building certification. So we opened that in 2009, and then we have our New Albany store, which is on Charlestown Road.
Well, Rainbow Blossom has just been contributing to the landscape of this culture in Louisville for so long. So I'm sure there's a website that people can revisit the schedule of events that we were talking about.
Yeah, we have our website, rainbowblossom.com, but we also just got our very first mobile app. So you can actually go to the Apple or the Google store and download it, just Rainbow Blossom. And we have all of our schedule of events on there. We have coupons, and you can actually download a coupon to save 15%. So
I'm doing this right away. I love stuff like that. That's so cool. All right, so you can download the app for Rainbow Blossom, and it's
Yeah.
just called Rainbow Blossom.
it's just
I think. Okay.
yeah. So, and it has our little logo on it, but it's very exciting for us to, take that leap into new technology.
Well, you're making it even easier for us to stay connected and to access savings through coupons and events. So there's no excuse for not knowing what's going on at Rainbow Blossom. Summer Arbach, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we look forward to hearing more from you and hopefully coming to one of those yoga classes
Yes.
very soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
James, what do you got for us?
Another little instrumental ditty.
Great.
Oh, James. Oh, James. Hi.
Howdy.
Is that a familiar voice? A familiar face?
Hi,
Tara's back.
Tanya. I had to drop in and say thank you, number one, because I knew my plane would not get back in time to be here for the show. So thank you.
You would have almost made it.
I would have almost made it, but actually we arrived early. Had it arrived on time, I would have been really late. So I just had to come over and see, because I popped on my TuneIn radio on my iPhone, and I heard the show starting, and I thought, I'm going to run over to the studio real quick and just say hi to all the guests and let Tanya know that I'm there. But you are just such a professional. You need no assistance whatsoever.
I'm happy to look you in the eyes now and say, this is hard. I mean, I like to talk, but this is really hard. And you're, of course, with the pro. I've
You
always
do
said
great.
that Tara can talk about any topic, and no matter what you challenge her with, she's going to be able to talk about it intelligently. And now I know that that gift is channeled into this show, Take It From Tara.
And the same goes to you, because really, and I think we can actually give a lot of credit to our pageant training.
Perhaps.
You really have to.
Which you were more successful at than me.
I don't
so
know
there
about
you go.
that, but that Miss America pageant training, when you're a young woman and you have to learn how to answer questions that you've never heard before, you have to learn to talk to people who you've never met before. All those things come in handily, and you've been spectacular. You've gone into coaching. I've done a little bit of coaching of pageant contestants in past years myself, and because you are in the media within Focus and on so many different programs, you've really honed those skills. So I knew when I called you There would be no problem. Thank you so much
Well,
for taking
thank
the
you
time.
for that. It's been an honor to sit in this chair in your place, even though I knew I couldn't feel your seat. I was going to at least keep it a little warm for you. You must be exhausted. I don't even know where to start with asking questions. What's been going on with you?
Well, I had the trip of a lifetime, honestly. My sisters and I took my mother to Ireland, which is her ancestral homeland. Her parents came from Ireland in Donegal, County Donegal, on the Inishowen Peninsula, which is the farthest north that you can get. And we saw the Aurora Borealis the other night. So if you can imagine that, seeing the Northern Lights from the coast of Ireland, and we hadn't seen them since we traveled in maybe 1969, 1970 to Europe, and I saw them in Norway. And the story that night was my mother was so absolutely fascinated by the Northern Lights, she ran toward the lights and slammed face first into a plate glass window and knocked herself down. And so this night when I said, oh my God, I see the Aurora Borealis, Mother, stop! Don't run to the windows to look at
Now,
it.
how old is your mother now?
She's 92.
Wow. You were able to take this trip with her. That's incredible.
And she climbed all the way to the top of Blarney Castle. And although she couldn't lie down on her back to kiss the Blarney Stone, my sister did it twice and then kissed her. So it was Blarney by proxy. But we literally went from Dublin, traveled all the way around the South Fork of Ireland, came up through the castle country, saw Bunready Castle, Ashford Castle, stayed there several nights. Kathleen, my sister, and I went falconing, which was the most extraordinary experience, and it's all on my Facebook.
Well, and following you
YouTube.
on the Facebook, I was on the edge of my seat for 2 weeks with this trip you had. You all seem to do a lot of singing.
We do a lot of singing, but we're Irish, so you can imagine that. And we sang constantly, and we had professional musicians in the house the night that we did the live broadcast. Kathy was so kind as to help expedite that on the 12th. And so we had some of Donegal's favorite local musicians, Hugh McGonigal and his partner Nolene, and Willie Breslin and Dinny McLaughlin, who's a fiddler, and they're all archived on SoundCloud. We didn't have video, but we had the audio. And then at night, you don't sit around and watch TV in Ireland. You light a fire and you sing, and everybody just takes turns.
Oh, that's my
And
kind of
sometimes
place.
they break out the musical instruments. And then we went to see the High Kings, which I would highly recommend if you ever get a chance. They just came back from a U.S. tour.
The High Kings.
The High
okay.
Kings, fabulous Celtic musicians. And we literally did everything that you could imagine doing in a very short period of time. And my mother was such a trooper. When we got back to Atlanta today, my sister and I took her with one of the attendants down to the curbside where my niece could pick her up because Kathleen is still in Ireland. So Maureen and I took her down to curbside, and she got into the car and she said to Kelly, I'm just ready for my own bed. But it was such a wonderful trip. And as they drove away, and we were crying at the thought of leaving her after
course.
2 weeks of being with her constantly, we started to think it's going to be kind of nice to get to our own beds too. And I got quite the reception when I got home. The 3 dogs went nuts.
Oh, I can only
Oh,
imagine.
yeah. This is the longest I've ever been away from them.
Who had them while you were gone?
Thank God I had the best dog sitter in the world, Alina Yoakum, and she just went back to school at Eastern. So, Alina, I know you're listening. Thank you very much. Another great friend came over and stayed, Janelle Fitzpatrick, who also has had a show on Crestnell Radio. She stayed with the dogs the last 5 days because I had the opportunity to extend and stay with my family the whole time because I was going to make it shorter. So, paid a couple $100 penalty and stayed an extra 5 days, which was great.
Worth it, but I know you missed your dogs.
I did, but I made friends with dogs in Ireland.
Of course you did.
I did. The neighbor had a dog. It was a dingo, and then I met an Irish setter that I fell in love with. I've never met a dog I didn't love.
I've been witness to that.
But it was really an amazing experience. And I've never been gone 2 weeks anywhere in my adult life because I've always had to work.
Right.
And there's a period in your life where you just realize how fortunate you are to be able to take a 2-week break, go across the pond, literally, to your ancestral homeland and see it. And yesterday, I stood on the hill of Tara, for which I was named. And the wind was blustery. And, I was thinking of the song that my mother wrote, which is on that SoundCloud archive, on a lofty hill in Ireland. So what a beautiful experience it was. And I know it's never going to be repeated. And it was first class all the way, thanks to my sister Kathleen, who really made sure that all of our accommodations and travel were great. And it was an amazing experience. It really was. And I could not hope to replicate it, but I hope that someday I'll be able to go back and remember the trip with Mother as well.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
That moment sounds so cinematic.
Yeah, it was
You on the
truly,
hill.
it was. It was like The Sound of Music where Julie Andrews is spinning around, the hills are alive. It was not quite that bad. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. And I look forward to doing more traveling in Ireland now that I've been there as an adult and seeing what a magnificent country it is. And the coolest part was, Tanya, I got to meet my mother's first cousin, who she'd never met because she came on it was on my grandfather's side, and she knew all my grandmother's family.
Really?
But we met this man, and I'm looking at him and thinking, gosh, he looks a lot like some of my relatives. And then his sons came in, and they look just like my Uncle Jim. And then the kid comes in, and she looks just like my great niece. So it's like the family resemblance just goes through the generations.
And of course, you're our Ginger.
Isn't that
of course
funny?
Well, your mom must be in incredible shape because
She's
international
wonderful.
travel isn't easy on anyone.
It's not easy, and she goes out and walks at least a mile and a half every day. She's always taking care of herself. She eats right. She's fit. She goes to exercise classes. She ran her American Legion post and the Boys State program up until this last year, and she's just an inspiration to anyone who's facing a challenge, least of all me. I mean, I've been facing some challenges recently, and I look at her and I think, I don't have any problems at all. And she just packs through. She says, you just get up every day and you just keep on doing it.
What an inspiring woman.
Yeah, she is.
As is her daughter.
Well, thank you for letting me come in for a few minutes on your show today.
I was so tickled to see your little face pop up over there. And thank you for sharing some stories of your trip with us.
Yes, thank
We
you.
hope... I know that you'll be back in the studio next week as scheduled.
And you'll be back soon because we need to do another social side. And I know that your compatriot at In Focus is going to be in here doing some reporting on fall events.
Well, here's a little funny story. You know, my husband actually later is going to talk about sports injuries.
Wonderful. He's the best at dealing with those, too. And doesn't he have a new job?
He does.
Floyd Memorial?
He does. He's at Floyd Memorial, so we're talking
Chris,
about that.
that's great.
As we left the house, I said, I'm so lucky that today on the show I get to interview my husband and my best friend.
That's
and he
so
said,
nice.
That's so sweet. I said, oh, I meant Josh as my best friend. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you.
Chris, she loves you. Don't worry. Yeah, he's waving now. But Josh knows that. He knows that he's your best friend, and he's a pretty good friend to everybody. And he's a great photographer. He took some awesome pictures of several events I've been at. So what a blessing you are to have him.
He's a man about town. He truly is.
I better get out of here and go walk the dogs and unpack my giant suitcase. Of course, I didn't use half of the clothes that I took, but that's the way it goes.
Well, that's less laundry.
It's exactly less
Good.
laundry. So have a great rest of the show. I'll be back next week on Take It From Tara for the 26th with a great lineup of guests. And thanks to the incredible Tanya Ablin. And James, will you play me a farewell song for now? Because I know you're headed to Nashville. I'm going to miss you so much. But anytime you come back to visit, you've got a spot on the show.
How's that? No.
Promise? Give us a tune, James Sane.
And that was James's farewell to Tara. But of course, he'll be back. And like she said, he's always welcome on Take It From Tara. Now, I am here with Dr. Chris Ablin. He's an orthopedic surgeon in town specializing in sports medicine. And if the last name sounds familiar, that's because he is my husband. Coincidentally, he is here today to talk about back to school time. Lots of students, this starts their sports seasons. Unfortunately, for many of them, that means injuries. Chris, what is the most common injury that you see amongst student athletes today?
One of the main focuses are lower extremity injuries. Knee injuries and hip injuries can be very common. And unfortunately, especially with female athletes, their rates of injury can be somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 8 times what their male counterparts suffer. So that's where a lot of our focus for injury prevention started with, was to try and first understand why that was the case, and then ultimately come up with some programs that can help with that almost epidemic, as we call it.
But why is that the case, that females would have a higher rate of injury than males?
There's multiple reasons. Some of them are modifiable. some of them aren't. And we think that for some reason, from the strength of their muscles and the shape of their bones, that they may be at increased risk for injury. And these training programs are meant to change those things we can change. There are some things that probably are just not modifiable, but these exercises, I think, have shown a great benefit and really cutting down these rates of injuries.
Now, are there any specific sports in particular where injury is more common?
I mean, a lot of the focus on my end has been in soccer. That's the background of my training. And so a lot of these have been really highly studied in the soccer population. They're really successful in a range of them. And thankfully, there's been a focus on getting girls active in sports at all levels, from grade school to high school to college. And it unfortunately has been accompanied by these increase in injuries. So soccer is the main goal, but I think they really translate to a lot of the sports that the girls are playing.
Well, I think what we see now is not just students playing one sport that they're good at, but playing sports year-round. They're involved every season with a different sport. Does that contribute to injury by any chance?
I think so. I think with that you see less breaks. There's not this period of rest that you would typically see. They go from one sport to another, and so that leads to some injuries. Probably also the lack of diversity. So playing year-round in one sport, I do think is a reason for some of these injuries, especially in throwing injuries. Pitchers, if you're constantly playing baseball year-round as opposed to going into swimming or then soccer or basketball, you're overdoing these or overusing these joints, and I think that's some of the things we're seeing as well.
Okay, so let's talk about prevention. We just discussed what causes some of these injuries. Now, what can you do to prevent it, if at all?
I think a focus for me is on a program that was developed by one of my mentors in Los Angeles, and that's the FMARC 11 exercise program. And what it was developed by the governing body of the soccer organization, FIFA, and it's a 3 to 4 week session, or 3 to 4 days per week session, focusing on strength training, agility, plyometrics, stretching, and running, that thankfully has shown about a 30 to 50% reduction in ACL tears in soccer players. And so that's where its biggest intervention is cutting down these non-contact injuries that are really common in soccer and basketball. And so that's where we see a lot of the benefit.
Does anyone have access to that program?
That's the great thing about it. Through FIFA and their sponsors, it's available on their website, which is FMARC, and that's f-marc.com. And there's videos, there are iPhone apps, brochures you can download as a coach or as a parent or as an athletic trainer. And it's something that I make a part of my practice, but it's made free through the generosity of this organization. I think it's a great resource.
Excellent. Okay, so we talked about student athletes. What about adult athletes? I think, a term that people call them are weekend warriors. You see them all the time. Cyclists, runners, people who participate in Ironman. How can they better take care of their aging bodies, or how do the injuries differ from them and some of the younger student athletes?
To finish up talking about that program, it's meant to be used by all athletes, whether you're recreational, weekend warrior athlete to the highest levels. We incorporate them as part of my involvement at the University of Louisville, and it's meant to be used by all athletes. So even your weekend warrior should feel free to use that resource. As far as what injuries differ, you start to see changes in your body as you age, unfortunately, and that can predispose you to certain fractures and other ligament injuries and things that young athletes often don't see. And it's a matter of paying attention to proper nutrition and these stretching exercises and warming up and resting and cooling down that, sometimes as a teenager you don't have to worry about as much. I think that's important in the more mature athlete.
Right. Okay. Well, that was super interesting. We don't talk about this stuff at home, so I'm actually learning a lot. You update a sports blog called Ville Sports Med. How can you access that? And then, I guess, supplementary question. I know you just did a blog on ACL injuries, which is pretty common. You hear about it all the time. Talk to us a little bit about that, about your blog and the ACL injuries.
The easiest way to get there is either through Twitter, which is all one word, Ville, Ville, Sports Med, or you can search for that on Google. It's hosted by just blogspot.com. And yes, I update some of the topics we discussed today, such as injury prevention or the actual surgeries that athletes can undergo, and just a range of topics kind of covering everything in sports medicine.
Okay, wonderful. Now, in the unfortunate circumstance that someone is injured, how can they contact you? What's the next step?
Sure. Well, you can obtain information through that blog or through my Twitter account. I'm also happy to announce that I'm going to be joining Floyd Memorial Orthopedics in Southern Indiana, and so you can go to their website and they can track me down and go over whatever seems to be going on.
Okay. Well, hopefully we see fewer injuries on the field. Unfortunately, some of it is unavoidable, especially as students get more and more active, and adults as well, for that matter. Yep. So thank you so much for talking us through that. One more time, give the resource for the instructional resource.
That's fmark.com. And you'll see that they have a website leading you to their FIFA 11 Plus program.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you, Dr. Ablin.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. James, if you can play us into the next guest, we're going to have Josh Miller from In Focus Louisville Magazine talking about the social side of Louisville. We also have so many sponsors to thank for supporting Take It From Tara. Now we're going to hear from Magnuson Effort to Combat Human Trafficking.
Women and children are frequent potential victims of human traffickers associated with international criminal organizations. Vulnerable to false promises of job opportunities in other countries, many of those who accept these offers from what appear to be legitimate sources find their documents destroyed, their lives or the lives of their families threatened with harm, or bonded by a debt they have no chance of repaying. Human trafficking also includes persons who are trafficked into forced marriages, sweatshops, plantations, or domestic service. What can you do to stop these heinous practices? To learn more, visit humantrafficking.org, sponsored by the Magnuson Effort to Combat Human Trafficking.
We're back here with Josh Miller from In Focus Louisville Magazine. As you know, In Focus is a philanthropy, social, art, fashion magazine that's free around town. He's the ultimate man about town. He's not only the man behind the camera at many social functions, but he's the editorial associate for In Focus, and he's kind of the jack of all trades. He does just about everything that can be done at that magazine, and we are so happy to have him here with us today. Josh Miller, we're going to talk about everything social that's going on in town, and you're definitely the resource for that.
Well, thank you, Tanya. I'm so happy to be here. You know, as in Louisville, as fall begins, we start our busiest season except for Derby time. So this upcoming weekend, we have Pink Tie Ball for the Susan G. Komen for the Cure, the Louisville chapter.
Yes, we'll both be at that.
I know, it's going to be fabulous. And it is at the Marriott East.
So that's a difference this year. Usually it's Marriott downtown, and this year they're taking it Marriott East. So it'll be exciting to see how that changes the feel of the event.
Exactly. And they're still selling tickets for the event, so you can get those at ComenLouisville.com. Those are $225 a ticket, and then lounge tickets, that starts at 9 p.m., and those are $75. So a lot of people come out, they get awesome pink gowns, they get pink bow ties. I Instagrammed a picture earlier from Gift Horse. They have like 25 new bow ties that are handmade that they just got for it. So
you always have the perfect bow tie for every occasion. I noticed last weekend you were at Tuxes and Tails, and you had a custom bow tie with the state of Kentucky embroidered on it.
Yes, I got that from Gift Horse as well. So they have some great, unique items that you don't see anywhere else, and it's always good for a tie for an event.
So for Pink Tie, I know it is one of our color theme events of the year, and they do encourage that people wear pink. Obviously, pink bow ties. You've already given the perfect resource for that. You mentioned that the dinner starts at 6:30. The tickets were still available, and then the Pink Lounge starts at 9. And I think those tickets you said were just $75,
Yeah,
right?
they're just $75. You get to enjoy a lot of the evening, the DJ, the open bar, some hors d'oeuvres and dessert. So it's a great way to have fun, but just not spend as much money if that's not in your budget.
A little more cost conscious, but you still get a lot of the value, a lot of the fun, because everyone from the dinner goes to the lounge. They end up dancing to the DJ. And I love how this year I was looking at the information at, it was, like you said, it was at Louisville at info-coman.org. And it said, normally it'll say open bar, but now it says complimentary cocktails, which sounds a little bit classier, like, oh, complimentary cocktails. But you're still in for fun. It's going to be a heck of a night for everybody. So I'm excited about that, too. So that is the Pink Tie Ball this Saturday.
Yeah, and that is actually sponsored by Louisville Slugger, because this year the theme is knocking it out for breast cancer.
Oh, that's right.
So they have a great pink bath that they did custom just for the Pink Tie Ball. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's really one of the can't miss events of the year. I mean, there's so many fun events in the city, but that's one I look forward to every year.
Yes.
And they moved it up to August this year instead of usually it's in September, which conflicts with, like you said, all of the fall activities. Football season starts, so now we're gonna have this fun event in August, and I hope that some of our listeners can join. And even if you don't already have tickets, that you'll hop online and check it out.
Exactly.
Now, you have so many other cool things going on. I mean, I can't keep up with this guy. Everyone thinks that I'm all over the place, but I only go to like a fourth of the events that you go to. And I know that Josh, first thing in the morning, will pack a car full of, like 4 outfits for one day because you have so many places to be, the gym, work, and then you'll usually have something, like a cocktail event and then a gala probably at night. What are some of the things that you're most looking forward to coming up?
There's some really great events coming up after Pink Tie Ball, the same night as the Lieber Brew Fest. If you want to do a doubleheader, you can do the Brew Fest downtown and then head out to Crestwood for the wheelbarrow to table dinner at Fox Hollow Farm featuring rye. So that's a 3-course, completely organic meal, hopefully outside if the weather's pretty. So that'll be fabulous.
I love it's wheelbarrow to table, and we're used to saying farm to table.
Farm to table.
Very cute. And that's at Fox Hollow Farm.
And that's at Fox Hollow Farm on September 21st. Then right after that, the next week is Idea Festival.
Oh, now I know you're really involved with Idea Festival this year.
Which is going to be so exciting. That is September 24 to 27. And then the Nulu Block Party caps it off on the 28th. On Market.
Very cool. Now, I know that you encouraged me to sign up for something with Idea Fest, an art forum. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Because it sounds so exciting, and I'm really thrilled to be going.
Yes, the IF Art Forum is going to be part of the Nulu Fest down at the local speed. So that's on Saturday the 28th, and you can sign up for that by going to ideafestival.com.
Okay.
So there's going to be a whole array of different people in town talking. John Enix from the Economic Cabinet for Economic Development, which I just, of course, repeated twice.
He's involved with economics. That's all we need to know.
We'll be talking about some of the economic impacts of art in Louisville. We're going to have a curator from the Louvre here.
Unbelievable.
Participating, so that'll be great. And a lot of different other curators and artists from New York and all over the U.S. So it's going to be a really great forum.
Well, Idea Fest always brings just the most cutting edge, forward thinkers to the city, and it's a great time of year. Are they still doing the Taste of Idea Fest this year?
The Taste of Innovation, they are still doing that, and that is scheduled for Thursday evening. So that'll be at Churchill Downs again.
Okay.
Millionaires Row. I believe the tickets are $65, possibly.
It's a huge value because there's so much food.
It's a great value. There's tons of tastings, and those are still for purchase online at ideafestival.com as well.
Okay, so we have all of that to look forward to. I also know that you and I have been working up until just this last minute to finish the new issue of In Focus Louisville. This September issue is the arts and entertainment issue. So we interviewed, profiled some of the local theater companies who all have really exciting seasons up ahead. And then every month at In Focus, we have a launch party that's held at a different restaurant in the city. It's always free and open to the public. This next Wednesday, the 28th, it's at Porcini.
Yes, that's correct. So it'll be at Porcini's from 5:30 to 7:30. There will be some past hors d'oeuvres, some cocktail specials, hopefully some of the theaters that we profile will have members there that can further talk about and explore their season with us. So it's always really fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully everyone can make it out.
What's one of your favorite events that you covered last month for this issue?
Last month for this issue, I have to actually remember what
I know.
went to. That was
We've
so
been
long
so
ago.
involved with getting the magazine all together. I know there were so many fun ones. Like I said, you just covered Tuxes and Tails, but that won't be until the next
that'll
issue.
be in our October issue.
But that
yeah.
looked like a fun event.
It was a really great one. They had a little pug named Pearl, some other little foster puppies and kittens that a lot of them got adopted that evening. You couldn't pick them up till the next day, which was good.
That's always smart for a partying crowd. Don't let them take the animals
But
home.
they did find some homes for them, so that's great.
That's wonderful. Between that story and Jacqueline from No Kill Louisville, I'm going to end up with a dog in my home soon. I just know it. A pug named Pearl. I mean, what's not to love about that? So we will have the launch party at Porcini the Wednesday, the 28th from 5:30 to 7:30. And again, as always, that's open to the public. And besides a good networking opportunity and an opportunity to meet the people who have been profiled in the magazine, it's just a lot of fun.
It is.
To come out
it's
and interact.
It's a good way to end your business day, stop in and have a cocktail, meet some new people.
And that's right
really
here in the
great.
neighborhood. So our listeners, most of our listeners can just walk down the street and join us, hopefully. So tell us again, recap the wheelbarrow to table event, because that sounds like a super cool opportunity to be outdoors and enjoy Fox Hollow Farm if you haven't. If that's not a place that you've been able to enjoy, I know it has so much to offer, and they've had so many activities going on this summer too.
They really have, and they also have a corn maze opening up, which will be in October. So that'll be so much fun to take the
Huge
family
hit.
out there, go through the corn maze. But as far as the dinner goes, it's 3 courses. Chef Tyler Morris from Rye will be there cooking. The open bar is included with the tickets, which makes it even a much better value.
Right.
So just a beautiful evening out on the farm.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for giving us all the details and all the fun social things that are going on in Louisville. Again, this weekend, join us at Pink Tie Ball. Hopefully, I know Natalie Officer has been the chairperson for that this year. She's been joined by Joey Wagner, who, of course, is always holding fun events around town.
Exactly.
Together, they've been a powerful duo, and like you said, the theme is knock it out. So hopefully they will, and hopefully we can find a cure for this disease. Again, that's for Susan G. Komen Louisville, always one of the most fun events of the year. And once again, how can someone hop on and get tickets for either the dinner or the Pink Lounge?
You can actually go to ComenLouisville.com.
ComenLouisville.com.
Yes.
That's a much
And
easier
just-
website than what I tried to give out earlier. So that will work. So again, dinner is
$225. It starts at 6:30, and the lounge starts at 9, and it is $75 a ticket.
And again, to reiterate, that is at the Marriott Louisville East this
East.
year and not downtown. I had a friend who wanted to go, and she said she'd made a reservation at the Marriott so she could just stay overnight, and she had made it for downtown. So that would not be convenient, because then you would have to finish the party and drive all the way downtown for your hotel room. So thank you again, Josh Miller from In Focus Louisville Magazine. You are my professional companion and, like I said, one of my best friends. So thank
Thank you for
chatting.
having me, Tanya.
Of course. James, you have anything else for us? I think we've thrown in a little extra,
All right, yeah, I can do
a little extra segment for you. Since it is your last time, just
Yeah,
sing us
I'll do
something
one
special.
more Nick Drake song.
I'd love that. Thank you.
When I was young, younger than before, never saw the tune hanging from the door. Now I'm older, see face to face. Now I'm older, gotta get up and clean the place. I was green, greener than he. I was ground, sun shone still. I'm drunken in the deepest sea. She's hunt me down, give me place to be. I was strong, strong in the sun. Never know the truth till the day I was done. Now I'm not around, then the pain is blue. Oh, so weak, and there's need for you. Well, thank you.
What will you miss most about Louisville?
Everything.
Everything. I know it's a great city, isn't it?
I love it. I love it. I don't want to go, but I kind of have to.
You kind of have to. I
Yeah.
know. That's the way this
Gotta go
industry
cut my
works.
teeth.
Well, you have really honored us with your presence on Crescent Hill Radio, and now who knows what station we'll hear your voice on next.
We'll see.
What's your plan as soon as you get to Nashville?
Get a job.
Get
No.
a job, right? There are performance opportunities that you'll just source when
Well, I
you get
have
there.
like a huge like plan as far as like what I'm learning. Like, I just haven't had the time to do it yet. You know, because I have to sleep.
Yeah, well,
occasionally.
right.
Yeah.
That pesky thing
You know,
called sleep that always gets in the way of all of our
work,
progress.
sleep, you know, a whole lot of time to do what you like.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. I can't wait to see where it takes you.
We'll see. Well, thank you very much for having me on.
Of course. And thank you to all of our guests, Summer Arbach, Dr. Chris Ablin, Jacqueline Heinzen of No Kill Louisville, Josh Miller of InFocus Louisville Magazine, and of course, James Sane. Thanks for tuning in and patiently letting me fill in for Tara. Tara, who will return next week with Clint Ackerman as musical guest, John Bauman to talk about living life in spite of challenges. He says, decide success. That's his advice. Pretty good advice. Shannon Favre is our local legal expert. She has a same-sex marriage case that's going toward the U.S. Supreme Court, and she's going to update us on that status next week, so that'll be very exciting. Rebecca Eves from the Arrow Fund will be joining Tara. She's always on the spot with a new story that'll shake you to your roots, make you love the work that she and her organization do every single day on behalf of our most notoriously abused animals. Lots to look forward to, and of course, chief among them, having Tara back behind the mic. I know how much you must enjoy her. Make sure you check out the archives via the brand spanking new website, crescenthillradio.com. SoundCloud, Ustream, and YouTube. There's lots of opportunity to recap and watch it over and over. I'm Tanya Ablin from InFocus Magazine, and I'll always be back visiting Tara once a month to talk about the social side of Louisville and with Take It from Tara. And thank you again for spending your hour with us on Crescent Hill Radio.